sorry.
Hold on. Case openings? Case openings? Wait.
Ton of money from
is that
hold on, it's my closing
they
thought.
actually everyone's saying they ran out of 3 because they feel it's profitable.
Yo, what is happening, everyone? Welcome back to the Catalyst Effect podcast. This is episode 29. I'm your host, Klaus. With me, as always, are my co-hosts, Missy and Crypto Hado. And today we're joined by Mickele from Forgotten Playland. What is up, Mickele? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me on today, guys. I had a blast on Friday, by the way.
Dude, that was a lot of fun. Watching the recap of that whole show. I mean, one of the best episodes so far by yet, for sure. Like, that was a lot of fun.
It was all of Mars.
I cannot believe we let Messi win, but you know what? I'm gonna let it slide.
Let me win. I mean, at one point, it was like a 3v1, man. I felt like Drake out here.
The last round. It was just the last round.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna say Heimars was definitely Kendrick. Heimars was definitely Kendrick on that situation.
No, I was Kendrick because I won. What are you talking about?
No, man, you're great. Yo, I already see some friendly faces in the chat. Jackie's already in here saying, hey, everyone, what is up, Jackie? Happy Sunday to you and everyone else listening in the crowd. We're going to have a fantastic show, man. We have, like I said, we have Forgotten Playland. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Also, this episode of the Catalyst Effect podcast is sponsored by Alpaca Dash and WagMe. We're going to be telling you guys about them a little bit later in the show, so definitely stick around for that. But let's get into it, man. Mickele, I really like to start the show kind of like letting the guests give the viewers and the listeners a background on like the game that they're working with. So if you can tell us a little bit about Forgotten Playland and what led the team and the developing studio to kind of like what inspired them to develop this type of game.
Oh, man. So some of that, I probably won't have all of the info, right? I joined the team about 2 months ago. We've been in development for close to 10 months now. And most of our team is actually based out of Norway. So we actually have an office and a full team that works inside of an office. We're not just all remote workers around the world. So I'll say what I can about that. But as far as Forgotten Playland, we are a free-to-play social party game. The main experience is the social hub. Of course, we all had a good time in there the other day. Beautifully rendered in Unreal Engine 5.2, I believe. Lots to explore there. We have a moving train. We have a football or soccer ball, depending on where you're from. That's really fun to play with friends. And just lots of little like things to discover in the world. We had a couple friends of ours that were playing. They spent about an hour trying to get up on a shelf. Like they found a hack to get up on a shelf and explore and look out a window. So there's like so much to do in there. And I love it. So that's kind of the main experience where you first port in. After that, we went live just about a month ago with 8 party games. So the mini game experience, you go in with groups of 4, you kind of battle your friends. We have a range of games. Bump a Ball, I think, is probably my favorite. Jungle Rumble is definitely up there. I tend to be pretty good at those. The rest, kind of hit or miss. And I tend to like the games that I'm better at best. So, but there's lots of ones people like them. It's competitive. We have lots of things coming, obviously, for the game. And I'm excited to maybe share some of that a little bit today.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to get more into like the upcoming updates that you guys are working on and like all the new things that are coming into the game. But a couple of things that you touched on that I absolutely love, right? First of all, the design of this game, right? Like, I know I talked to you about it before, but to me, it's very reminiscent of like the Little Big Planet or like Mario Party type of game, right? And type of design. I kind of wanted to ask you, do you think that puts you guys in a very unique spot when it comes to user acquisition, right? And when it comes to being attractive to like multiple like targeted audiences almost, right? Like multiple age groups, for example. What are your takes on that, having such a unique design for your game?
Yeah, as far as I know, we're currently the only social party game in Web3. So there was a game called Blinkos that was out a while ago. I don't think they're any longer in operation. People love that game, and I don't, maybe they didn't manage their runway. Who knows what actually happened with that game? But I think like they prove that there's a market for social party games in Web3. But yes, to your point, like there is broad appeal for these social party games. They can be leveraged by everything from streamers to influencers. They can be used for tournaments. We've even talked a little bit about like, you don't even have to be a gamer to play this game, right? Like anybody can plug in and control to their computer, to their desktop and play, and doing influencers from different like niches just to get people like engaged, new ways for them to engage with their audience. So really making the game like a tool for influencers outside of gaming per se. And then of course, we think that we have a really interesting game to bring to Web 2. For me, like a big part of the reason that I joined this team is because it's the first game that I've seen that I really felt confident would broadly appeal to Web 2. And I've been very interested in marketing a Web 3 product directly to Web 2. What's kind of holding us back from that a little bit is still some, friction. We have broken funnels, just a few too many steps to get to playing and then to be able to also use your cosmetics like in game. But we are working with partners for Web 2 payment rails. We are working for partners to streamline the Connect wallet process and a few other things. So really looking forward to getting those kind of processes streamlined a little bit. And then we have something pretty epic, I want to say, coming in September.
Ooh, I'm excited for that.
And my birthday's in September. Let's go.
Hey, that's why we planned it, Mizzy. It's released on Mizzy's birthday.
Yeah, it's my birthday. My birthday's on the 7th. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Dude,
I know.
That's
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we planned this. No, but that's crazy that your birthday's in September, dude. That's like literally the same anniversary for Catalyst. That's nuts.
Yep.
That's really wild.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's September's the big month. I didn't tell you guys last year because I don't really celebrate my birthday like that. But
I think you did tell us.
Yeah, I think
I mentioned the week. I didn't mention the day.
Yeah,
I think you did tell us it was your birthday. We just forgot.
Yeah, I was just like, yo, like this is my birthday week, and then
no,
they were
but
like, happy birthday, and I was like, yeah, cool, peace.
All right, cool. We're gonna keep working. No, but Mickele, I definitely want to touch on you guys' approach to market to Web 2. But before we get into all of that, I did want to ask a little bit more about like the current developing studio, right? Developing Forgotten Playland. And I know you said you joined shortly, not too long ago, right? But I wanted to touch on Vermilion.
Shout out Solo. Sorry, Cloud.
You're good, brother. You're good. Shout out Solo.
Homie in the crowd. And shout out my wife, Jackie. And she can confirm. She can confirm that I do get dressed to sit as a VTuber. But yes, back to the conversation.
I'm waiting for her to confirm it. Yeah. So far, you've said it twice, but she hasn't said anything. Just so everyone in the audience is clear, there's no confirmation.
Yeah, for real. There's no confirmation to this, Jackie. We need proof. If you can send a picture or something in the chat, But I wanted to touch a little bit on Vermilion Studios, right? That being a joining venture between Merit Circle and Douglas Games. Can you talk a little bit about that partnership? I know you said you joined the team not too long ago, but if you could touch a little bit on that partnership to inform the viewers on that.
Yeah, so it's a really exciting partnership. Like from the Merit Circle / Beam side, they have obviously taken a deep interest in Web3 gaming and building out a complete suite of tools for developers looking to launch and scale Web3 games. So I've always been a fan, like coming from a game launcher background myself, of kind of what they're building and the unique approach that they're taking to bringing games together in, singular accessible points in Web3. So they have a lot going for them on the technology side. They obviously have a ton in development. They're putting a lot of resources and effort, marketing dollars, obviously, into the gaming niche. And then Douglas Games is a Web 2 gaming studio led by Will, and I'm going to forget his last name, but he is a veteran of Web 2 gaming from Ubisoft and several other notable studios with tons of experience. And then there's probably 4 to 6 other I think 6 internal team members working on the game that are all under him on that side. So very experienced, seasoned Web 2 developers paired with, a team that has had a ton of success and is focusing heavily on Web 3 gaming, I think is really, again, another reason I wanted to join the team, right? That's the marriage of those two worlds that kind of come together perfectly. And I think it's a recipe for success.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you there. I mean, you talked about, right, like how marketing to the Web 2 audience is going to be a big focus to you guys. And I think a big part of that is having a part of the team come from that traditional gaming world, right? Like have that experience. Because, I mean, those teams that you mentioned, Ubisoft, for example, the history that they have and the track record they have of the games that they develop and the amount of genres that they've gone into, right? And that experience just doesn't appear every day, right? So like having someone like that in your team can definitely expedite the process of like development, but it also can help a lot with like the approaches you take when you go to market to the audiences that you want to reach.
We don't make as many mistakes, right? We have people that have been there, done that before, and they will kind of prevent the whole team from steering off too far in the wrong direction.
Absolutely. And with that in mind, I wanted to ask you something that you see people in Web3 talk about a lot is that when it comes to developing studios and teams in Web3, right, there needs to be a healthy balance of traditional gaming native people, but also Web3 native people in the team, right? People that understand how to build economy models, how to build, effective, not marketing approaches, but just effective economy
community
models overall.
building.
Yeah, communities,
yeah,
exactly,
community.
right?
Yeah.
What would you say is your take on that for Forgotten Playland? Like when you're looking at your team, right? Like, is that like a healthy balance that you guys have found? Is the focus right now more towards like the Web 2 perspective and making the game feel as easily accessible as possible? Or are you guys also thinking about the Web 3 side and, applying the technology and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I do feel that the mix on our team is super healthy. So, of course, the Merit Circle side coming in and bringing their expertise with the chain and the technology, that's covered. Like we don't have to worry about that as a team, which just takes that kind of element off of our plate and we can focus on marketing and building a fantastic game. So we have that. We also have the support of, their ecosystem of Twitter channels and marketing partners and everything else. So it's been very helpful. On the other side, the development studio itself, they are mostly from Web 2. So they just know how to make great games. They have actually some of the internal team members do have some experience in Web 3 prior. So they've had like a taste of it. The thing that I really love about that is I am very Web3 native marketing. I marketed in Web2 e-commerce for years prior to coming over to Web3, but I've been here for the last 4 years. I'm deeply ingrained in the culture. I love community. I love, just all of the things that are very like culturally important to Web3. And they're very open to it because they've seen it firsthand. I've worked with some other projects where they come in from Web2, don't really know what Web3 is at all. And then you propose Web3 ideas and they're like, that just doesn't make sense, right? Like we're not doing that. Like nobody cares about their community like that. Why would we give our community things? And it's like, well, things are a little different around these parts. So right. It's nice. They're very open to Web3 marketing. I would say currently, because of the level of friction, just for getting people to play the game, and we're only live on Hyperplay right now, which makes it difficult to bring in users from traditional, like Web2, like your Epics, your Steams and things like that. They won't be familiar and trust Hyperplay in the same way yet that they do those other launchers. So we're excited to get that exposure later. But it just kind of, we're focusing on our community, building in Web3, influencer partnerships, game nights, doing, community building events, and being very much a part of the culture and the ecosystem of Web3 gaming. But kind of what you don't see in the background is us preparing for that Web2 go-to-market. We teased a little bit of it from our Twitter account. We've run some test Reddit ads over the last couple of weeks. We've had huge results with those, not in terms of like actual conversions to the games, but click-through rate, impressions. Like it's been an incredibly successful and promising campaign. And we know that once we're playing out on somewhere that they're familiar with, it's going to be a much easier transition So very promising for us there. And that's just all kind of going on in the background while we, externally focus on Web3. And if you guys know our community manager, Adam, he's from the Wolves DAO, just another fantastic Web3 native, well-respected, good guy. Like I enjoy working with this team so much. It's just been a pleasure. So I think we have all the bases pretty well covered.
Mickele for chief of DGen.
My official title.
Title for real. No, but I absolutely love hearing that though, because we talk about that pretty often in Catalyst, at least, right? How we want, when we see teams come from the traditional gaming world, right? Like we welcome them into our space, but we really want to see teams that are here to kind of adopt the culture that we're building inside Web3, right? Not like change it or try to make it fit within their traditional methods, right? It's more about adaptability and like adopting that culture and making sure that you're very much community driven, right? Because that's what's going to drive at the end of the day. If you want your game to become a popular one, right, where users just keeps coming back to it and continue to build in it, you have to build that community and that fandom behind your game, right? So
the value proposition of Web3. That's why we all stayed and we're so bullish on building here. So if we forget about that with these games, they're not, like those Web2 users aren't going to come and experience the community, which is why we're all still here building and pushing, the boulder uphill, because we know this is a better way to do it. It's a way that allows us to share value with everybody who's contributing to the ecosystem instead of being purely extractive like Web2. And we think that's like one of the main value propositions of Web3 and the Web3 integrations that we have.
I have to agree with you. And, one of the things you mentioned is like being on a platform like Hyperplay, right? And how I believe, for example, I see that being very parallel to your focus of like building in Web3 first, right? And being true to that culture that you're staying in, right? Because Hyperplay is one of those platforms that's very similar to Epic, but it does really well at pushing Web3 games first.
Yes.
So when you log in into their dashboard, automatically you're seeing in the homepage of multiple Web3 games, including Forgotten Playland, right? So it's really cool to have that when you're like building in a Web3 community. But I also agree with you when you have that trustability factor of being in Epic, right? That's going to help with the masses and approaching most of the gamers that look at those platforms as a place where they feel comfortable to try a new game, right? Like I believe I was in a random Discord today and I was like, hey, anybody here playing Nine Heroes? And they were like, oh no, what is that? And all I had to say was like, it's a free shooter on Epic, very similar to Overwatch. And they were like, oh, I'm about to go check it out. Let me see if I can download it. I'd love to try it, So it didn't take much to get that onboarding factor to take place. But I wanted to ask the rest of the guys, what are your thoughts on that, guys? Because I know there's mixed takes on platforms and how supportive they are to your reach when you're trying to onboard users.
Yeah, I'll answer that. And I actually have a follow-up question for Mickele based on something that she said that I wanted to hear about as well. But as far as platforms go, man, I will say this meta that we are having of games being on Epic is fucking sweet. Because it's making me getting my friends into the game easier, right? Yeah. Like me as a Web3 native, I don't mind using Hyperplay, Elixir. Like we've used them all, right? I don't mind even downloading the EXE because I'm, crazy like that. But when I try to get my friends into it that aren't in Web3, that's kind of where the problem always is. So Epic is amazing. I love Epic. I like the UI experience. I like it better than Steam personally, the UX. But yeah, I think with Hyperplay, it makes it way easier compared to like most things, but Epic is still king for me personally.
Yeah, I think that having these games on Epic is honestly the easiest way you can get people in the door. You're not having them like download a foreign application. And I know that might not be like the upfront hesitation for people, but people don't like change. They like what they're comfortable with. And if they're already using like an Epic game launcher or Steam, something like that. Like I'll give you an example. Like whenever we took all the EA games off of Steam and put it on Origin, everyone hated that shit. We were all like, we don't want to play on Origin, or now it's like EA Play or whatever. Like, and everyone kind of like boycotted it for a little while, and EA lost a lot of players from that. So they brought their games back. So I think having like Web3 native launchers is very important. because it's like kind of helping the onboarding process. But having the Epic Games launcher, you're basically putting your game on a marketplace that is like, think about it. Fortnite is like arguably one of the biggest metaverses, quote unquote, to ever come out, right? I mean, they've got every single franchise known to mankind almost. So everyone that plays Fortnite has to download Epic Launcher. So it's really big for a game to be on that platform. So I think it is imperative that, first of all, you go multi-platform. Like, you don't want to be exclusive because like you're really missing out on a lot of users. But to be on Epic is huge for Web3 games in general.
Yeah, and well, I mean, one of the things we got to remember too is that platforms don't necessarily need to compete with one another, right? Like, like Hyperplay doesn't need to be the competitor of Epic. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure they have a partnership together because the Epic library is integrated inside Hyperplay, right? And I think that's more of the future that I see here, right? Like, especially because Epic follows such specific regulations to the type of games that they allowed in their library, right? And we've seen it before where certain Web3 native games have gotten kicked out of Epic because some type of guideline that, you know, didn't fall into their regulations and stuff. And I feel like a partnership with Hyperplay offers another venture of like allowing Web3 games to assist and within both platforms in a more safe way, right? Like, hey, like I can be in Hyperplay, but Epic users can integrate the Hyperplay library into Epic if they wanted to, just like you do in Hyperplay with Epic, you know? So I think that's a pretty cool approach. But Missy, I know you said you had a follow-up question for Mickele. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So what I love about Mikkele's intro was her expressing how much of a Web3 native she is. And you know, I think a lot of our brand with Catalyst, obviously it's culture driven, right? Like we do a lot of culture stuff. We're kind of like integrated with Web3 gaming culture in specific. A lot of that also comes with a certain level of gatekeeping that I personally take serious, where, and I don't mean this in like a disrespectful way, by the way, Mickele, it's a compliment, but we're very gatekeepy in the sense that as soon as we sense a grifter, we kind of push them off. Like, to be honest with you, we don't. We're not like everyone else that sees Web 2 and is like, oh my god, yes. We're like, where's the intentions? You know, cool. They're, you know, potentially like Call of Duty devs and stuff, but like I don't really care. I want to see like what the Web3 strategy is before you get the official thumbs up from us, right? And I've seen you around the timeline way before Forgotten Playland. So like when they picked you up, that's actually what got me to look at Forgotten Playland, to be honest with you. So I didn't really know much about Forgotten Playland until you were hired there. And I was like, oh shit, they got Mickele. That's dope. So what was your onboarding experience like with them, right? Like, because I think there's a cool formula between like a Web 2 gaming studio, but then like giving the keys to Web 3 for marketing, right? Yeah. What was your like biggest critiques of, or I guess changes that you made, like taking the role? Like I would love to hear and like that process, like you joining the team, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So here's trust. None of my bosses listen. I don't get. I'm kidding. So I would say Merit Circle / Beam have done a fantastic job building out their ecosystem. They're pretty well integrated with like AVAX and that community. But I had never actually heard of Forgotten Playland until a friend recommended both Merit Circle as a company that I should look at when I was getting ready to look, and then also specifically this game because of the quality. So I think that maybe, you know, we're all guilty of this in the space, right? You get in your echo chamber, you tend to think that everybody understands your technology because you're using it every day, right? Like it feels very familiar to you. So like a bridge and a swap, like that's not a big deal. People do that all the time. And maybe the people in your like little corner of Web3 are, but like on a more broader scale, like every single ecosystem has a big learning curve. So I think not really changes per se, but just bringing that different perspective, like, hey, like that's great. And I definitely figured out how to use these Beam products. I've been working in, you know, Web3 for multiple years, and I figured it out within 1 to 2 days. You know, I kind of gave up the first day because I got busy and then came back to it. I was like, but a Web2 user or somebody that's coming over from like just straight ETH and they've never had to bridge or swap, or somebody that's a Solana maxi, like they're probably not going to onboard. So we need to like provide solutions that make the game more accessible outside of just like the Beam, AVAX, Maxis. So I think that, and then also just maybe this is just personal, but my personal approach to marketing is a little more degen-y, right? Like I really like to like support content creators. I retweet like every high quality post that I see come across our Twitter. I'm quote tweeting you. Like I want to help you grow for supporting us. We want to help you reach more of our audience. So yeah, and just, you know, just a different vibe. I think less informational and a little more cultural, I think.
I like it.
I absolutely love that answer. I mean, you know, I feel like the users in Web3, whether you're somebody that's like, you know, you have a big portfolio and you're really involved with the degen crowd, right? Or you're here just to like make content and like find out about new games and like try to work with brands, right? Like that's just the overall culture that you're introduced to, right? So like the more you take that approach into everything you do with your brand, the more successful you are at reaching a strong community within this ecosystem that we're working in, right? So props to you guys for approaching it that way.
I like the part where you kind of double down on how different the ecosystem is, because I've been very multi-chain in my Web3 experience, but I kind of had this awakening when Trap went live earlier this year. I had a couple people from Web3 gaming that were like, and I'm not going to say their names, I'm not going to air them out, but they were like in here, right? They've been here for a while. And even they were like, so how do I bridge? I'm like, wait, what? Like, haven't you been around? I was like, holy shit, like you guys haven't been, okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Like, and then I realized, especially if you've been around DeFi or NFTs, how much deeper you had to get into the Web3 tech than like even the everyday like Web3 gamer person.
Yeah. I want to say too, real quick, like as the technology gets easier to use, right, and platforms, tools make the accessibility and the way to use it, like the way to get access into games easier, right? Like a lot of that technology, you stop using it. Like think about it, when we first started in Web3 gaming, right? For almost every game, you would log in and immediately you would be asked to sign in with a MetaMask, right? Or like some type of wallet, right? So you had to go through the process of learning all of that. Now it's like you log in and it's like, oh, use your Gmail or use your Epic account. So you kind of stop using the technology, and a lot of those little things that go with that, you start forgetting how to use it and how to like properly do it. So it's not bizarre to see somebody that has been in this space for a while like start forgetting, oh, like how do you bridge again, or like how do you do this thing again? Like I haven't done this in like a year, you know, like I haven't bought an NFT in like a year.
Overwhelming amount to learn in this space, and a lot of it's unique to every different chain ecosystem. So for me personally, I just like reach a capacity where I'm not learning every new thing. If I specifically need it for the activities that I do in Web3, I will take the time to learn it. And if not, I just remain blissfully unaware, right?
Yeah, and I was going to mention that a lot of the apps that I've seen, like in different chains, not just the one that's on my head, right? Like multiple chains. It's like, it feels like it's developer talk, and it's not like, you know, kind of user friendly, right? So I think we're still in that stage where it's more of like a learning curve to like get into it and then understand how to use it rather than you just using it. Because you could make an argument like Instagram or Twitter, TikTok. It's very self-explanatory how to use it, right? And when we get to that point in Web3 games and Web3 in general, then I would see like people not really be kind of, you know, exhausted or stressed out learning these different chains on how like to bridge or do this or that on, you know, because it's not the same on every chain, you know, even. So eventually we got to get to that point
where it's more intuitive, right? Like most Web2 products, we've been using them for many years and people iterate on them. So we can intuitively pick up a new feature or two. We're learning a whole different like language over here. So the learning curve is much steeper.
Yeah, and some of it even goes down to like if you really want to import stuff into MetaMask, you have to like look up the URL. You got to like have the ticker symbol. You have to have a lot of different things to fill out, right? So to do that for every single chain that's building, like it's a lot, right? For the end user.
Light work.
Okay.
Maybe for you, dude.
We're not all degen like you, bro.
We don't all live in a virtual world like your anime character. Some of us need sleep and rest,
Hey, speaking of which, my wife can't confirm. There you go.
I wasn't going to mention it, but I saw it.
Yo, guys, let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsor. And when we come back to the show, I want to get into the community response to Forgotten Playland, right? Like how has been the community been feeling about the game and all that good stuff. But let's give a quick shout out and we'll be right back with the show. Hey guys, this episode of the Catalyst Effect podcast is sponsored by WAGMI Games. Web3's first universe encompassing multiple games, animes, collectibles, and more. Their current game, WAGMI Defense, is a mobile defense tower game that is available on Android, BlueStacks, and Google Play. Wield your card deck, deploy characters, and defend your towers. Optimize your deck to launch attacks and dismantle your opponent's base. Rank victorious and emerge with bragging rights, collectible cards, and Nifty. WAGMI Defense's universe is set in the year 3022 and unfolds in Nimash, an off-world laboratory serving as the backdrop for immoral experiments. Though the world may seem dark now, the choices made by players, whether human or alien, will shape the outcome of the Nifty Wars. Thank you to WAGMI Games for being an official sponsor of the Catalyst Effect podcast. Now let's get back to the show.
Alpacas! Now to have your attention, today's episode is sponsored by DeFi Land. And on DeFi Land, you can play Alpaca Dash. Alpaca Dash shatters the mold of ordinary idle racing games. Dive into a world of strategic depth with a vast array of tactics to conquer any environment. Unleash your alpaca's unique strength and craft the perfect skill combinations to dominate the race course. Every competition is a thrilling odyssey bursting with stunning visuals and an electrifying soundtrack that fuels your epic showdown. The unexpected awaits at every turn. Prepare for heart-pounding comebacks that will keep you on the edge of your seat from the starting line to the checkered flag. Are you guys ready to unleash your inner champion? If so, head on over to almightyalpacas.com and start racing today. Almightyalpacas.com. Almightyalpacas.com. Oh, shit.
So
Yo.
cute.
All right, well, thank you to
Bro, you scared me with that second one. I wasn't ready for that. Did you see my reaction?
You scared yourself.
I was like, oh shit, that's me.
Yo, shout out to the sponsors, WAGMI Games and DeFi Land, Alpaca Dash. Thank you guys for the support. We appreciate you a ton. Jackie's saying bring back Rico. I agree, Jackie. I think we should bring him back. Well, maybe one day.
Rico
all right,
got
guys.
fired.
Rico got deported, man. He got his own.
Oh my god!
Yeah. You get them back to the Himalayan mountains to train some more. You know. Yo, guys, I wanted to get into the community response when it comes to Forgotten Playland, right? Like, Mickele, what has that been like, right? Like, I know, for example, us as content creators, right? Because I also see when we get into new games, right? I feel like the response from us is a little bit different because we're looking at this products from many different angles, right? We're looking at it's like how much do we enjoy it just as users, like regular people that love to game, right? But we're also analyzing it from like a content perspective, right? Like how much content can I create in there? Like what are the things that are possible within this world? Like, you know, like how much enjoyment is coming from like my friends and myself playing it together, right? But for like the community overall, what's the response been like for Forgotten Playland?
Yeah, so really great question. And I think like one distinction I'll kind of make is we do view content creators as like part of our community. And we've actually like integrated some of them in more meaningful ways to our team. We have what we call internally, kind of externally now, the Dream Team, Forgotten Playland Dream Team. It's a shout out Ellie, Maddox, Seabass, and Empress Rayon. And they've been fantastic, right? They brought a lot of their community with them. So they're doing game nights like with their community using Forgotten Playland. And it's kind of like mixes everybody's worlds together, creates that network effect that we're really looking for. In terms of the gameplay itself, like people have absolutely loved the game. Like we get so many compliments on the graphic quality. I would say about 4 of the games people are like blown, and then some of them can kind of consistently get some suggestions that we're working on updates for those things. I think the biggest like criticism that we've gotten, and it's something that we are like actively working to address, and it is kind of a unique problem, is we have servers around the world. We have, North America, East, West. We have Asia, Europe. So it's difficult for people to get on and play at the same time. And then if you hop into a server by yourself, you can explore the playland, but you can't hop into the game mode. So that's something that we're actively working to address. Of course, as we scale the game up and scale our marketing efforts, that will naturally solve some of those problems, but we are looking for things that we can do in the meantime to provide those places for the community to commune. So last week we put out our first team internal gaming schedule. We all have a specific day that we're gaming. We've been partnering with as many guilds and communities as possible to do these game nights and offer some prize, unopened toy boxes for incentives, and to make it fun, and also to say thank you, for coming out and trying us. And I think in terms of actual gameplay, I haven't seen any negative feedback, period. There are things about getting into the game or being able to play, that's all fixable though, right? So for me as a marketer, I'm so excited because same perspective as a content creator, right? There is endless content from this game. I run around in there and just take screenshots and tweet them. The other day I did one of those cardboard boxes. The joke oh, just bought my first house, thanks crypto. I did that from in there. It's
yeah, dude, that's so great.
There's so much low hanging fruit, So I think content creators are equally as excited about us as I am, and I think that's made a big difference for us in our launch and the amount of attention that we've been getting since launch.
Absolutely. That's amazing. And I love to hear exactly what you said, right? The UGC behind it, right? You go in there and create kind of your own content with the things that you see in the world that's available there. I remember the first time I joined the Playland, right? The little room where everything's available. I was walking around and I just kept noticing detail after detail after detail, right? And then I got into this potted plant that's there. And then I was able to climb one of the leaves. And then I noticed that if I had a friend in there, maybe I could get on top of one of the boxes that's up there too. So it was just it makes your mind wonder, right? Oh, what would I be able to do if I had 4 of my friends in here and we were all
I love the soccer ball.
And the soccer ball, right? That type of stuff. It's a really cool place to just build content and have fun. And I love that you said that everyone has provided positive feedback when it comes to the gameplay, because I agree, right? Obviously the crashes and not being able to go into a lobby, that's expected of at this stage of development, right? This early stages, that's normal. You said, it's fixable. But the gameplay loop and just the overall design and how the game feels and mechanics and all that stuff, man, I gotta say it felt really, really smooth, and it's just a lot of fun when you play with friends.
Yeah,
right?
I think
I love that.
I think the only complaint I've heard is, which I think isn't even a complaint, it's kind of a compliment, is bigger group sizes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a compliment, but people are man, having to basically pick people to play with, right?
It is hard.
At one point, I was just all right, man, we were actually trying to get guests for Erect, right? So you were on, myself, Clouds. We had a list of 10 people that wanted
that wanted to come on that one. They're I want to play.
And they're oh man, sucks to suck, buddies.
Next episode.
But again, and I feel that has a lot to do with how inviting the IP is. Again, this goes to that point. When we were playing on Rec on Friday, right? Everyone in the chat was super happy to see the game, and they were just interested, right? Hey, how do I play this? Or I can't wait to play with you guys. This looks so much fun.
It was
and that's
very
just
entertaining to watch, I gotta say.
Yeah, having a really strong IP is really, really important in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hold up, G-Crod, real quick.
Destroy
whom?
Wait, who are you talking about, bro?
What are you talking about?
The only game you destroyed us in was Magic Craft, and I don't even know how that happened. But
bro, he still lost the episode. What are you talking about?
He still lost.
Go get married to Luigi, boy. All right, sorry.
Sorry, we don't like that frog around here. We don't like that frog. Sorry about that, Mickele.
That's good.
So listen, I wanted to ask you, because obviously one of the biggest part of Forgotten Playland is the multiplayer aspect, right? It's a social party game. That's a huge aspect of the game, right? And kind of what brings people together inside of it, right? And I honestly feel is kind of needed right now in Web3. right? Like it's really cool that you guys started with that approach and you went with the multiplayer aspect first, because I feel like that is needed in Web3 right now. Not enough games have ways for people to group up together and play, and just like having easy way to do so. But I wanted to ask you, is there any plans for you guys to do like a single player mode or like a campaign mode? Anything that lets players kind of just be able to enjoy Playland without having to group up with people,
Or even co-op.
or even co-op. Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. Like almost like a lore or a storyline.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So that's a great question that I am probably not able to answer without getting in any trouble.
Okay,
That tells you
That's
all
not
we
a
need
no.
to know.
That's not a no.
Or-
That's not a no.
No, it's not a no. It's not a yes. I will say that we are exploring a lot of different game modes to make it, engaging and increase retention. And just, we want people to come in and just, be able to pick up and play a couple mini games between things they're doing. And also like come have more immersive experiences where they're gaming for hours with friends and having good times and play, in Discords together, playing different, like making bets or doing whatever, right? Like we want to offer both of those experiences to our users, I think. So I think you'll see us testing things. I think you'll see us trying some things, and iterating, because there's a lot more that you can do with a game of this style than I think a lot of others, right? And that's one of the things we're excited about.
Don't worry, Mickele, your secret's safe with us.
I didn't say a
Yeah.
secret. No.
Listen, we got that. Thank you.
We get what you mean. We get it.
Rip me.
No, but listen, actually what you mentioned actually ties in with my next point that I wanted to bring up, right? And I don't know if this is something that you can also touch on right now, but feel free to answer to any capacity that you can. A lot of the conversations we see in the space recently is about questing systems or questing platforms, right? Is that a part that's going to be integrated into Forgotten Playland, right? Because we're seeing it become very popular right now into the space with airdrop campaigns, right? Where they're doing like in-game missions or in-game quests that you have to complete in order to complete the airdrop, or like, just having that tool integrated into the game. Is that something that's needed in Forgotten Playland, or do you think it's going to be integrated into the game?
Some things along those lines will be coming over the course of the summer. We also have some external partners that we will be launching some quests with, getting exposure to some of these larger communities. Look for that towards the end of the month. One of the things people talk about a lot, and fairly so, is like the token is not meaningfully integrated yet. And I know we've been like very quiet about that. And it's frustrating to people, right? Everybody's like, when utility went to, like, I do want to kind of just address that more will be shared publicly along those lines, and how the token will eventually integrate into the game. And it's kind of along the lines of what you're saying, maybe in some ways. But that's going to be like relatively soonish that we'll be talking a little bit more about that. So again, to answer your question, I would say yes. Also on like the Merit Circle Beam side, they're cooking up some interesting things around questing. I have no idea how much is public, so that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, we recognize it as a strategy that's been effective for other brands lately, and we are definitely paying attention and testing a few things on our own.
Poor Mickele. I feel like we're a PR nightmare.
I know.
Listen,
Girls walking on landmines over here.
No, she's throwing some great answers in here, man. She's throwing some great answers
right,
in here. No, I
real
absolutely
quick.
love that. Yeah.
Real quick, G-Crod, I will rematch you and beat your ass again on stream. That's fine. I love you though. I hope you're doing well. And Forgotten Playland is in his top 5, maybe even top 3 ever played Web3 games. All right, which is your favorite FP game, bro? And shout out Icy
with G-Crowd on that.
What up, Icy?
What's up, Icy? Let's go.
I have a funny story about me and Icy, but I won't tell it on the podcast because he gets mad.
I have a funny story about Icy. Did you guys know that he actually got that nickname because of how bright his smile is?
I believe it.
True story.
I didn't know, but I believe it.
Yeah,
no, I'm just fucking with you guys.
Damn, bro.
We all just ate that up.
I know, right?
I heard Token. My brain enhanced my listening power. I mean, yeah, the frog is here. The frog approves Token speak. Honestly, like we checked out like the documentation, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I kind of got like a brief idea of what the token integration was going to be, but this was before I played the game. Once I played the game, I honestly forgot about this. Okay. I was like, yo, this is hype. I was like, I want fucking skins, man. And then like my goal now is to like basically find a way to get a custom Izzy skin. I'll be honest.
Ooh.
I want it. I want my shades.
Dude, there's so many possibilities for skins inside Forgotten Playland. Like, I mean, we saw like Heimar's, right? Like we were all talking about how Heimar's teddy bear looked like the Kanye West graduation teddy bear, right? Like, so like little things like that. I feel like even users are gonna take like you know, like the matters into their own hand and like start getting creative with their skins, how they customize their bears, maybe bring up like their own lore into their bear, you know, like that type of stuff. So it's gonna be really cool to see it develop. I did want to ask you guys, do you think that achievement hunting is something that's kind of has been forgotten in the traditional market?
Yes,
and it's
I want it.
Well,
and
what
I want
it. What I was gonna ask is, do you think is being like reborn inside Web3, right? Because we are seeing a lot of games implement achievements and in-game missions and stuff like that into their approaches. What are your takes on that?
I'm achievement hunting every day, bro. Like the only reason why I haven't punched my monitor and rage quit Nyan forever, low key, is because of the missions. So I mean, yes, I am hunting. I'm a hunter.
Get this man a squad, bro. Get this man a squad. He's having trouble.
We're right here.
All I gotta say is, why are people queuing up and AFKing in that game? Just to go on a little rant. Look. I made this. Stop AFK.
All right, listen, Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith.
Look at them.
Look at this.
Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith. Keep your ranting to first take. All right.
The hairline's keeping up with Stephen A. too. So.
How does he's having a rough time, bro? He's having a rough time.
But yeah, man. I mean, I love achievements. I always have fucking. I think it's having a comeback in Web3 because it's one of the most meaningful ways to integrate play to earn. I feel, it just like makes sense. Like do this, gain this, like you know, or not play to earn, play and earn, whatever the fuck we want to call it. Monetization systems in Web3 make a lot of sense when it comes to achievements, and it's cool and it's fun. I personally am looking more for, and this is kind of, I don't know if it's alpha. It kind of is alpha. Fuck it. I'm not going to tell you guys what we're working on in Catalyst, but we're looking at more like socially driven achievements where it's like things that I don't want to say we're not going the SocialFi way. It's not like a SocialFi thing, but we kind of love the idea of being able to play around on the timeline with people and drive achievements in a more organic way and things like that. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Alpha, man, you're giving too much alpha, dude. You're giving too much.
Tell us more. No, questions for you guys. Speaking of PR nightmare,
I'm a walking PR nightmare.
True that.
There we go.
Oh shit.
Yo, how does this getting flamed in the chat right now, dude? Jackie's saying he hasn't spoken in a while. G-Car is saying to please go back to farming games. Oh my god, brother. Jesus Christ. All right.
Yeah. True gamers want achievements to flex on people.
I 100% agree with that, bro. That's for sure.
Not wrong.
Yo, but before we move forward and get into like the upcoming updates or any new updates that are coming into Forgotten Playland, I think we have a little special surprise. I'm gonna let Missy take over, but I think we have something for the crowd and to show Mickele for the first time. So let's go ahead and showcase it.
I'm still laughing at G-Crowd and Jackie. I'm sorry.
What are you giggling at, dude?
They're fucking hilarious. Like I love having the two of them in the chat. All right. Even though I hate G-Crowd, I still love them. All right. So Mickele, this is a little surprise, and here we go.
Y'all, I love it.
So what we like to do at the Catalyst Effect, and almost all of our Catalyst shows, except Rec, we haven't rolled it out yet, is we make, nostalgia-based cover art, and we turn it into collectible NFT badges for the community. They're all free mints, but we kind of wanted, it's all inspired by the PS1 when it comes to the Catalyst Effect. So we wanted to do something to honor you, Forgotten Playland, and I hope you played a lot of PS1 because we sure fucking did, which is why the TCE badge is shaped that way. And anyone that's in the chat, it just got posted on the Catalyst account. Go check it out. Mint it. It's a free mint. It will have utility within the Catalyst ecosystem, and it's available for the next 2 hours.
Let's go.
I was worried it was going to be the banner from Friday. Really freaking out for a minute.
Oh my god! No, actually, we're making you a custom one. That should be done by.
That's what I was worried it was going to be, Mizzy.
Oh no!
I dude, if we would have brought that up,
No.
Yo, Cloud selected that beat a long time ago, so shout out to Clouds for that beat.
Yes, sir. No, that was actually a super sick badge. I loved like the background to it. Very, very reminiscent of like the Toy Story room.
Yes,
I love
sir.
it, man. Make sure you guys go collect that for the next 2 hours. It's gonna be open. Click that link. It's gonna be completely free, so you don't want to miss out. Make sure you get your hands on it. All right, guys. So let's get into like updates, right?
Shout out Damien.
Shout out Damien. Yeah, absolutely, man. Damien is the GOAT. So what are some upcoming updates that are coming to Playland, right? I know, for example, and this may be a little bit more of alpha fishing here. Don't feel pressure to answer in any way, Mickele. But in the white paper, it mentions battle passes, right? So are you able to touch on that a little bit? Is there any alpha related to that that's upcoming to Playland?
So I would say that is a little bit further out, not way far out, but we have some more immediate things coming. So we have publicly said that our kind of internal cadence is releasing a game update of some sort on the last Thursday of every month. So we do have a Thursday. That's the last Thursday of May coming up here pretty soon. And for this update, we expect 3 pretty substantial things to appear in Forgotten Playland. So some of it's going to make gameplay and connecting with other people a little bit more seamless. Some of it is going to make communication feel a little more smooth. And then one of them is going to be just like something fun and new.
Oh man, what is this?
There's some t-shirts coming out, man.
Clip it. What's up with that, bro? I am brainstorming. Oh my god, I have so many theories. All right, cool.
I know. I'm speculating right now. My brain is speculating right now. It's crazy.
I'm not speculating on tokens. I'm speculating on Mickele Alpha.
Yes, exactly. No, yo, but I think this is saying. Wait, where did it go? Oh, there it is. He's saying, I got an idea. How about Scourge from the Catalyst IP be a character in FB? Ooh. Dude, that would be actually sick. Mickele, if you don't know, Scourge and Pyro are the 2 characters in RP. They're actually like, you can see their outline in the background here.
Okay, yeah.
It's like one of them is a little phoenix guy, and the other one is like a little fire dog.
Yeah. So I actually tell a little story. So I don't know if you have kids, right? So you probably watch like Happy Feet. Have you ever watched Happy Feet?
Oh yeah, the little penguin movie.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
That is a goated. Okay. That is a goated movie.
So, Scourge is our. You know how the main character in Happy Feet's kind of like a weird penguin.
Yeah.
He looks very. So Scourge is like our. Scourge is like our weird take on a phoenix. Like he's kind of like similar to Mumble from that movie. So he looks different from your like conventional phoenix. And then we have his best friend Pyro, who is technically one of the flames from his wings that kind of like manifested into its own person. So it's like, it's like a little dog that morphs into different things. So we're still building the IP when it comes to Pyro. We're not sure if we want to make him a cat or a dog, because we had a lot of people telling us it should be a cat because it's cat told us. So we were like, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
so
can see that. Well, I'll say something. So, Merit Circle had their water tournament, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. It was a big in-person event. And for the first time, we did one of our asset drops. I don't know if they have them yet, but so everybody who attended the event and scanned a QR code got a Merit Circle Water Touring t-shirt that is wearable in game. So
Ooh.
I could see doing something like that. And we, transparently, we've chatted about, for some of the different, partners that we partnered with long-term, doing something fun for their communities and games so they can kind of like flex and represent where they're from, but still participate in FP and, use the same characters instead of porting in whole characters. So what, who knows, what we do in the future as far as that, but I think we do have, pretty solid plans to at least let people kind of represent like the communities that they're most integrated with Playland.
yeah, that's really cool. Shout out Addis for mentioning it, because we're like horrible at chilling ourselves. But,
We appreciate
yeah.
these. No, but listen, that's actually really cool that you mentioned that, right? Because I feel like that's an value add that the space can offer, right? Especially to communities and partners. And a lot of games could do that more. And it's not just all about always monetizing, right? Like a partnership.
Yes.
Like you can monetize by doing little integrations like that, right? Like involving their IPs into your world or game, right? Because that builds like their fandom from their community inside your games, right? Like same thing with like MMO games that have like guild holes and all this stuff, right? Like if you're able to go into, I don't know, Champions Ascension, for example, right? Which they were doing like guild holes at some point. If you were able to log in there and see the Catalyst guild hole, right? Automatically, if you're part of that community, if you're part of the Catalyst community, you already have a place inside this ecosystem where you can hang out, right? Like it's associated to your community, to what you're enjoying, the people that you play with, right? You see that logo and you're like, oh, there's my community. That's where I'm supposed to go,
Well,
so
communities kind of promote themselves within the game too. So like we're exchanging value. It's not extractive on either end. It's like, let us give you something that helps you promote yourselves within our game and you help us get some players, right? Like the more that we can align like incentives and objectives with teams like Catalyst, like that makes all the sense in the world to me.
Absolutely. And well, I guess this could be like some advice to other people in the space, right? Like if you're a creator or if you're building a brand, like take this as advice. Like when you're approaching partnerships or like when you're approaching like other brands that you want to work with, right? It's not always about like a monetized deal, right? Like there's different ways that you can start that relationship and supporting each other. Like you're saying, like find the equal value, right? Like the trade-off value. Like I'm supporting you, you're supporting me. We're building community. We're bringing like users into the game. It's a happy relationship, right? And then from there you can continue building. But like I just feel like not a lot of games even explore that, right? Like that option of like, hey, like, yeah, we can look at integrating like IP or like how can we integrate like your own skin, right, into this game, like and pitch that to your community, right? Like how can we bring it into your community? So really cool that you guys are already thinking of ways of doing that with the Merit Circle t-shirt. I think that automatically gives you the users who are interested in using Merit Circle something to have inside Forgotten Playland that they can represent that, right? Like, oh, I'm wearing my Merit Circle t-shirt. Like it's like you wearing the Apex jersey, right? Like if you had that in Forgotten Playland, now your teddy bear can represent you in an even better
100%.
way, right? Because you love Apex, your teddy bear loves Apex, so it's really cool, man. Really cool that you guys are integrating IP that way.
I do have a quick question that we're on this subject now, and it kind of like stems from what we're talking about. Is there any plans for UGC kind of content, like in terms of like building own levels, maps, things like that? Or is that, oh, give me the face. She's like, I can't talk about that.
Yeah, I'm just not even gonna say anything there because I don't think I can. I don't think that I'll come out.
That sounds good.
Copy that. That's all we needed.
She's gonna kill us. We want her to come back.
I am never coming on the show again, by the way. Just so we're all clear.
We've been rugged.
No, you've been absolutely great with like your answers, honestly. And I know we
This is
play
super
around a
fun,
lot,
too.
but yeah, exactly. It's all for the fun and games. But I did want to
Just
touch back a
hypothetical.
little bit on like on the token, right? Because I know you said
Mhm.
that you guys haven't put a lot. Well, not that you guys haven't put a lot of attention into the token, but it just hasn't been like the main focus as far as like marketing,
Right.
like the use of it, right? Are you guys thinking it's just gonna be one native token that lives for Forgotten Playland, or are there gonna be integrations where we see like an in-game currency as well, separated from the main token that can be like traded off, like more like so like a
Like a Web 2 and a Web 3 token.
yeah, like almost like like we can look at it that way. I guess that would be the
Yeah.
easiest way to diversify it.
I've heard stuff like that before. Discussions of things, nothing,
God.
like
She's gonna kill us. Why do you guys keep asking all these questions?
it's like you can like I'm just answering it in a way. Like I have heard people bring that up as a possible like way to move forward on some of these things. I'm not saying whether we decided to do it or not, but it's a smart team and we're exploring all of our options. So that's all I'm saying.
Funny enough, I always have my little banks of questions that I bring into like preparations before every show and stuff like that. That was literally just a question off the top of my head. I wasn't even like trying.
This guy. I swear.
Oh man. No, but okay. So overall, we've talked a lot about Playland today, right? We talked about community feedback. We've talked about kind of like the overall design of the game, like your approaches to market, right? Any other upcoming updates that you really want everyone to know that is, I know you mentioned the summer is going to be a big like roll up for you guys. Anything that's upcoming that's super recent that you really want the viewers and listener to know about?
That you can share.
That you can share, exactly.
That I can share. Okay, so Merit Circle dropped this alpha unbeknownst to us at the water tournament. So I can share that along with this like epic thing that we have coming in September, we have 20 party games in development and slated for that release. So the amount of content now, right? Like 8 games. If you play for like a couple hours, it feels like you're playing some of them a little bit repetitively. We'll still have that monthly cadence over summer for things that we're doing. But then in September, we really want a big push. We want it to feel like a very fleshed out experience when we're reaching out to Web 2. So pretty excited about that. I've seen teasers of some of the games. There's a lot of cool stuff coming, I would say.
I mean, 20 party games, that's insane. That's going to be awesome to have that many options. Is that like 20 overall, with including the 8s that are currently available, or is it going to be 28 in total after the... Wow, man, that's going to be awesome. Like, I can't even do 20 party games. That's a lot. Like, that's a lot. I can't even imagine what you guys have planned. Like, it's going to get crazy.
Hey, I have a quick, Mickele, I actually have a quick question, right? And this is because my wife's been asking me, because my wife has to get a new PC setup. Hyperplay makes it so that she can play on Mac, right? Or am I crazy?
Yes, dude, Hyperplay. I just want to take a minute and shout out Hyperplay. Like we talked all the launchers, they're freaking fantastic. And I came from being a co-founder at a launcher. They were the only one we really were exclusive with them because they have been so supportive. The team is real builders. They're down to earth. They've offered us a ton of support and they're iterating quickly on their technology and have interesting products coming. They're not just copy pasting what every other launcher is doing. So yes, to that point, they do have a tech layer that will allow you through either Linux or Mac access and play, but it is a specific like update or what a specific software. I don't know much more about it. I'm not super technical, so not all Mac computers will work, but a lot of the newer ones will, from my understanding. And then also internally, we are working on a Mac build as well. So it should be.
Oh, that's awesome! Hell yeah!
Yeah.
Yo, shout out Prof on Twitch.
And Milk and
Twitch
Watermelon.
What's
going on, Prof?
I don't know what it means, but
what's happening here?
Dude, what's happening right now, bro? And Watermelon. I don't even want to know what that means, man. That sounds wild. You know what? Because 789, we're just gonna leave it at that.
789, shout out
Prof. All right. Man, listen, Mickele, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been an amazing conversation so far. What's up, Missy? You wanted to say something real quick?
I have a quick question. Yeah,
go for it, man.
Yeah.
So
thanks,
like,
Missy. Can't wait.
Yeah, no problem. Hey! I have been nice today. Okay, it's these savages out here that are just like, yo, Mickele, give us the alpha. I'm just like,
I asked a very nice question.
You motherfuckers are like, yo, give it to me, baby. I'm just like, yo, chill. We're just like asking for.
I would be doing the same thing. Yeah, I would be doing the same thing if I was in your shoes. I can't.
Now, Missy's gonna ask the same question, just in a different way.
I love my brothers, man. They're awesome. But my question, genuinely is, no, it's actually around content, right? Like, because I recently had like a very eye-opening experience with like onboarding a good amount of my Web 2 gamer friends and circle, between my younger siblings, my niece, my nephew, my little brother-in-law, and their friend circles. And I got a lot of feedback on content, right? Like, one of the biggest things that they were, I'm just going to openly say it, they were bitching at me about, because fuck them. But they were telling me, hey, how come there's no fucking guides? Like, they weren't pissed, but they were just like, do people in Web3 not know how to create content, basically? Like, what's the feedback that I got, right? Because I'm playing Neon Heroes, and, I'm fairly pretty good at the game. So I was able to give them a lot of tips, a lot of advice, almost like a guide would, right? And I think something that was missing when I went through the YouTube searches with them was like all this informational content on how to play certain characters, certain abilities that you could use. Now, I understand that Neon Heroes in specific is a much more like competitive, like sweaty game, right? But is there something, as someone that's a builder with like Beam, also Forgotten Playland, have co-founded your own project, that you would like to see from content creators? Because I think like we need good feedback at this stage, right? Like, a lot of the times when we work with partnerships or we even do our own things, we kind of like forget to zoom out and think of even basic concepts, right? So I would love some feedback on what you think we could be doing better. And no, it's not a loaded question. I just think that we all give feedback to devs, but very rarely do we get feedback.
Right.
Outside of people trying to shit on us for being KOLs, right? Like, I get it, but like, I would love feedback to just know where to improve,
Man, I would say, like, I love our relationship with the ambassadors. Like, we have a fixed amount of content that comes from them. We can kind of request things that are specific needs for the project, right? So if we know that we're getting feedback on connecting your Beam companion app, we can go to Maddox and say, hey, we'd love a video about this for your next long form content. And he produces it. So like, filling those content gaps for teams, like, of course, that's a paid relationship, but teams would love to get that. Like, have somebody just reach out and say, hey, like, I really like your game. I want to do something valuable to do. I was thinking about making a video about this. Is that a need, or is there something else something you can suggest? And maybe not starting off, like, I took my first job in Web3 totally for free. Like, I knew I had translatable skills from Web 2. I worked for a company for 3 months for free. It turned into a paid role, and I was with them for 2 years until they ran out of funding. Like, I think that's a great way to start building relationships with these teams, instead of just coming like, and this is going to sound bad, but like, hands out, come and offer some value first. The teams want to work with people and reward people who are excited about their game. So if anybody's coming to me and saying, hey, I'd love to create this content, they're at the top of my list for any paid activations that we're going to do. So I think that would be my probably best advice for content creators.
Great advice.
Yeah, that is a great advice. I mean, yeah, you got to come in with like the delivery first, right? Like, I feel like a part of the content creation, and like content creators forget, is that the word says it itself. You have to create, you have to put out content, you have to like if you're interested in an ecosystem, then you should showcase that by like making, like, maybe make a free guide for them, right? Like, go into their YouTube channel and see what's missing, and then go to them with a piece of content that targets that, right? Like, exactly what they're missing. Like, hey, I was looking
Yep.
in your YouTube channel and I love the content you guys are like producing, but I noticed you don't have a guide. Here's a guide that I made. Let me know what you think of it. Would love to do more stuff like this for you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, give me, and then that you open the door with like a solution for them, right? Like they see the
Yeah.
prop value right there, because you're like, holy crap, we didn't even think about guys. And there's this great content creator that noticed that and they came with that, you know,
Yeah.
already. So
there's a
definitely
lot to
start
think about for teams. We have blind spots all over the place, right?
Mhm.
Like you get so heads down on like certain objectives that are the most glaring to you, but there's still stuff that you're missing from the big picture. So you guys on the content creator side are uniquely able to see, because you're playing, you're out there with your friends, you're hearing those like firsthand comments, and you can actually provide a solution. So sometimes when we get that feedback directly, it's just not within our capacity to solve at the time. But you know, it's only so many hands.
The one thing I will say that content creators need to think about is that every video you're putting out there is technically like an audition tape, right? Like you're kind of, you know, trying to get a role in a way. So like if you approach it that way, you could be very valuable to said company or said dev team, you know, whatever. So I do want to offer that. Also, Prof had a question.
I can answer that personally. Like I've created content around Forgotten Playland, like tweeted things out, right? With both like, you know, Damien making clips of our gameplay on the Catalyst account, me tweeting at them. They retweet everything. They've always been very supportive to me personally and Catalyst. So shout out to you guys.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. I love small content creators. They're like, I think it's easy to go for the big flashy creators, and they serve a purpose, right? Brand awareness, but they don't convert the way small creators do with deeply loyal followings of maybe like 100 gamers. And half of those gamers are trying every single game that they play. There's just so, you know, it's a much more intimate relationship with the community. So I prefer working with smaller creators that are more deeply integrated with their communities, and happy to support anything you're doing to support Forgotten Playland. We are very reciprocal.
There you go, bro.
No, but that makes sense, because I don't want to say that big creators are not like in touch with their community. There's a lot of them that are like, that have done a great job at still maintaining their community and like being integrated with them, right? But like I agree with you, when you're a smaller creator, you have a better chance at still having this form of communication with your community that makes it feel like you're good friends, like if you were like in IRL, right? So like it's almost like if I make a recommendation or if they see me playing something, they're gonna have that loyal following and they're gonna want to participate in that, right? Whether they want to play with me or they just want to play the same games that I'm playing because they saw it and they thought it was cool, you know. So like I 100% agree with you. There's definitely a lot of value to support small creators, especially in Web3. I just think creators overall, man, if you're a good content creator, whether you're small or big in Web3, we need you in here, you know, because our space needs that massively. And I just think it's like what we talked about earlier. The biggest piece of advice you can take from this conversation probably is what Mickele said. Come with us some type of like product, some type of solution already. Use your craft to your advantage, right? Like you're a content creator, then start producing some form of content. If you're not comfortable in front of the camera, look at written guides, look at threads. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can attack content, and it's just about starting. Don't wait for perfection. Don't try to make it perfect. Just put it out and get feedback and then adapt and make it better next time, right? Like, but a lot of the time I feel content creators just get stuck on like this approach of like, well, like everybody's doing this already, or like somebody already did that, or like, oh, they're probably talking to this other creator that's a lot bigger than me, you know? And their ideas don't even get put out there because they don't even attempt to make that approach first, you know? So start creating, guys. Start creating content.
Dude, even in our own circles, there's been people with great ideas like flowing to us. Like, so even in our own circle, we've seen it. So definitely, you know, reach out and make content. Don't be scared to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
It's a scary world, man.
And in my opinion, group content's always the best. It always hits different.
Yeah.
So squad up.
Well, it's just, that's a good advice, because a lot of the times creators are just afraid to step outside their comfort zone. So if you have a group of friends, that's just gonna make it a lot easier. You know, you're gonna have like,
well, I'll tell you how we got the dream team, right? Like Maddox, we were in contact with him about content creation after GDC, and we were already in contact with Seabass, and I had already talked to, I think, Ellie at this point. But he was like, what if we put together like a package for you guys? And so we just pay one amount per month. It includes all of this, and we're managing 4 content creators all at once through like essentially one relationship or one chat. That makes marketers' jobs so much easier. So yes, packaging up or forming little content coalitions, that's absolutely alpha.
Yep.
Absolutely. And that's kind of like our approach, right? Like when we talk to our partners and stuff, we let them know, you're not just getting like Missy as a content creator or Hado as a content creator. You're getting Catalyst as an organization. And with that, we bring all of our creators that are working with us, our community members that want to create content with us, and that gives the company this group of people that are willing to produce work and content around the game or product that they're producing and not have to worry about like, well, I need to make so-and-so happy with their type of content, and like then we also need to make sure that so and so is delivering their content pieces this way, right? Like you said, it's all grouped up into one group, and it's a lot easier to manage expectations that way. But yeah, definitely, guys, start exploring, hit up friends, create content. It's not as hard as it seems. I promise you. The first video or so, it's gonna feel weird. It always does, but as soon as you get that groove going, it gets easier and easier, and then just explore different forms of content and see what you're comfortable with.
I mean, our first podcast episode was fucking horrible.
Dude, I still every time I go on Spotify and it plays it, every time I go on Spotify, everything, it's just cringe, bro. Everything just starts.
It's fucking embarrassing. It's so bad, embarrassing.
It's so bad.
He had the "This is CNN" voice. He's like, "Welcome to the podcast."
Welcome to the Catalyst Effect podcast. It was horrible. It was horrible. But hey, we stuck to it, and consistency is key with content. You get better and better as you do it more and more. So definitely start exploring content, guys. It's gonna support the space, and it's gonna support you as users in Web3 as well. But man, this has been an amazing episode of the podcast. Mickele, thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us as much alpha as possible on Forgotten Playland. I promise you this was not planned. We did not mean to bombard you with questions that were
I saw the tweet. It said alpha eyes. I was like, oh God, here we go.
Oh man. When we said alpha, we meant 80% of the when we said alpha, 80% of the show. But yeah, listen, anything else you want to tell the listeners or viewers about Forgotten Playland, anything you want them to know or check out, go ahead. The floor is yours.
I appreciate that. We love you guys. Really, it's been so much fun playing, for real. This is my first time marketing at a game proper and not a launcher, and getting to hop into these games and play with people and try to do funny stunts or hack our ways onto it's so much fun. And that's what we want the core of this game to be about. Not the token, not accessories are fine because you can dress up. Obviously that's really cool, but it's really about coming together with your friends and making new friends and having these experiences, digital experiences online together that are fun and engaging. And I would just say what do you want to tell Icy? Oh God, I would say, we appreciate you. That's all I want to say. And what I want to tell Icy is, Icy, you do have the best smile in Web3, and I will never in public tell the story about how you threw me down on the dance floor at GDC ever again. That's what I want to
say.
What? If you made it to the end of the show, you just got the biggest piece of offer right there.
Yo.
Okay, here's the real because I can't have people. Icy's also actually is the nicest person in Web3. We were dancing in groups and different people were coming out dancing, and I came out with Icy, and then I slipped on a drink that he had spilled, and he helped me back up. So it was indirectly his fault, but
I can't believe he tripped you up like that. That's crazy.
It was a setup, man.
G-Rod is in full FOMO right now.
How did you miss this
nightclub? I don't know.
How did you miss this at GDC? I don't know, bro. Maybe it's because you were too busy drunk texting me. This guy was in the club, fucking drunk, texting me bro, this is how I'm gonna take over the content game. It was really impressive.
I love it.
He was talking all about content.
I can't wait till consensus. I can't wait. I can't wait till y'all are all here in Austin. I can't wait to see y'all.
We got Professor Pressure is asking for a dance battle between you, Hado, Him, Hado,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
Icy. Like that's gonna
I'll
be
judge.
crazy, man.
I'll judge.
I'll judge too. I'll be in there too. Like I
Yeah.
want to see that.
I have one.
Let's
move,
set it up.
couple.
Let's set up a live
I have
stream.
one
We'll
move.
get the three of you guys doing some dancing around. Listen, no, but I know I'm gonna be continuing to play Forgotten Playland. I know the rest of the guys are going to continue to play it. We gotta get you back. We gotta get you back on rec and get a revenge on Messi. We can't let this man be the winner of
Hey,
Forgotten
she
Playland.
won. She won. She was Team Pink Hair Gang.
No, it
Pink
doesn't feel the
hair.
same. It would have felt better if she would have had the most points, you know. So
Yeah.
we're definitely gonna go for that
I'm gonna
rematch.
keep
Oh, I see.
practicing. Between now and then, I'm gonna keep practicing. I'll be back
Let's
for
go.
an
Let's
official
go,
takedown. Yeah.
Yeah.
guys.
Bring it
make-
on.
Guys, make sure you check out Forgotten Playland on all socials. Make sure you follow them on Twitter for all the updates that are upcoming. Shout outs to Wagme and Alpaca Dash for sponsoring the episode and all the support on the show. We love you guys, and we'll see you guys next week on Sunday at the same damn time. Peace.
Yo, yo. Hey, I'm sorry.
Hold on.